people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai and Yekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on Star Times to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian. From issues on politics,
hello Nigeria, I remain committed.
Security, education, health, lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyekin every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
One truth, not often African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai and Yekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly, our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord,
Adversary proceeding.
it's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Hello and welcome to Spectrum TV News, a recap of major stories within the week. I am Francis Adet, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari unveils TED Fund project in Ekiti Varsity. Federal government says 2,246 Nigerians evacuated from Sudan. Plus, Zelensky in Berlin to meet German leaders, discuss arms deliveries. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for joining us. First in the news within the week is a report that President Muhammadu Buhari on Friday inaugurated 6 tertiary education trust fund projects worth about 1 billion naira to boost teaching and learning in 3 universities in Ekiti State. Beneficiaries of the project are the Bamidele Olumilua University of Education, Science and Technology, Ikire Ekiti, Ekiti State University, Ado Ekiti, and Federal University, Oye Ekiti. Buhari, represented by the Minister of Industry and Trade, Adeniyi Adebayo, during the inauguration of the project at Ikire Ekiti, Ado Ekiti, and Oye Ekiti, said the commissioning of the project at the universities was in no small measure for the enhanced teaching and learning and improvement of academic standards. The President said that the TED Fund, through federal government support, had performed exceptionally in infrastructure provision and support for academic staff training and development, among others, to tertiary institutions. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday moved into the Glass House at the Presidential Villa Abuja ahead of the inauguration of the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Recall that the iconic resident has served as a transitional board for the outgoing president and their spouse during the handover period. Their spouse. The First Lady Aisha Buhari disclosed these in a video on her Instagram page after showing the incoming First Lady, Senator Remi Tinubu, around the State House. The outgoing First Lady also expressed her opinion that the House should maintain its long-standing practice of accommodating only the incumbent president and their spouse during the transition period. From that, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission (NIDCOM) says a total of 2,246 Nigerians have so far been evacuated from Sudan. Head of Media, Public Relations and Protocols Unit of NIDCOM, Abdul Rahman Balogun, stated these on Friday in Abuja while giving updates on the federal government's NAF C-130 plane, while 274 boarded Air Peace plane from Aswan Airport, Egypt. Balogun said on May 5, 130 Nigerians also boarded Taco Airline, while on May 6, 131 evacuees boarded the same airline from Port Sudan, with 102 boarding the same airline from Port Sudan on Sunday. In the meantime, the federal government within the week projected to rake in 647.7 billion naira from the concessioning of 2 power projects, e-ticketing of 2 rail routes, and a device management system, DMS. This is contained in a statement from the Infrastructure Concession and Regulatory Commission, ICRC, by Acting Head, Media and Publicity, Ifeanyi Nwoko. The 2 power projects are the 360 megawatts Gurara 2 multi-purpose dam and hydropower plant and the 40 megawatts Kashambila hydropower plant. Reports say both will be concessioned under an operation and management concession public-private partnership model. Others are the concession of a secure e-ticketing solutions for the Lagos-Ibadan rail service and the Warri-Itakpe rail service, as well as the device management system, a project by the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. Meanwhile, the federal government said it had embarked on multiple agencies and departments of government had been responsible for multiple taxations which had been causing confusion within the system. The Minister for FCT, Mohammed Bello, stated these are the stakeholders' resolution retreat on harmonization of revenue collection and promotion of ease of doing business in the FCT held in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Represented by the Permanent Secretary FCT, Olusade Adesola, the minister said the reform program would include the implementation of a digital platform for the issuance of permits, licenses, and approvals known as the FCT Business Portal. In the meantime, federal government on Friday approved the implementation of the first Nigeria Investment Policy (NINP). The government also adopted a new National Automotive Industry Development Plan (NADIP) that would span through 2023 to 2033. This was disclosed by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Adeniyi Adebayo, who said both policies were approved at the recent meeting of the Federal Executive Council (FEC), which was presided by President Yemi Osibanjo. The minister maintained that the investment policy would give investors more comfort and attract more investment into the economy. Meanwhile, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has urged insurance operators in West Africa to reposition the industry for global competitiveness. The minister gave the urge at the West African Insurance Companies Association Educational Conference in Lagos State. Ahmed, while speaking on the conference's theme, Repositioning the Insurance Industry in West Africa for Global Competitiveness, said the objective behind the African Continental Free Trade Area is to accelerate intra-African trade on the continent, as well as boosting Africa's trading position in the global market by strengthening Africa's common voice and policy space in global trade negotiations. She emphasized the need to establish high-quality insurance database to provide a holistic view of the industry's operations in the sub-region. In the meantime, the federal government is partnering with investors to deploy 5 million solar power connections in communities that are not connected to the national electricity grid in Abuja to provide the opportunity for potential investors to pitch their financial offerings to developers. The agency stated this in a document that the Solar Power Niger program was launched as part of the Economic Sustainability Plan to achieve the rolled out of 5 million new solar connections in off-grid communities. Reports said the REA is the implementing agency of the federal government under the Federal Ministry of Power, tasked with the electrification of underserved and unserved communities to boost economic growth through the supply of electricity. We move to the judiciary now, where Justice Hamza Muazu of an Abuja High Court on Friday held that the court has jurisdiction to entertain a suit filed by some members of the Labour Party LP. The suit is seeking the removal of the chairman of the party, Julius Abure, the National Organizing Secretary, Clement Ojukwu, and National Treasurer, and Oluchi Opara. Justice Muazu held that it was no longer the law that the court cannot adjudicate in political parties' matters. The judge further held that if the party had been at peace with itself, there would not be any need for the court to interfere in its affairs. In a separate development, the Director, Legal Department, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Nelson Orji, within the week said that the judgment of the Federal High Court, Abuja, which stopped the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, NBC, from imposing fines on airing broadcast stations is ill-conceived. Orji noted that a Federal High Court also sitting in Abuja had earlier given a contrary decision that the NBC had the power to impose sanctions on airing stations. According to him, Justice Maha in April 2022 had ruled in a case brought against NBC by 7 organizations led by the Association permits the Commission to determine and apply sanctions, including revocation of licenses of defaulting stations which do not operate in accordance with the broadcast code and in public interest. In a related development, the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) says it will appeal a ruling by a federal high court, Abuja, nullifying its powers to impose fines on airing broadcast stations. NBC's reaction to the Wednesday ruling by Justice James Omotosho is contained in a statement signed by its Director General, Balarabe Shehu Ilala. Omotosho, while ruling on a suit filed by Incorporated Media Rights Agenda, declared that NBC was not a court and had no power to impose fines and punishment on broadcast stations. He held that the NBC Code, which gives the Commission the power to impose a sanction, was in conflict with Section 6 of the Constitution, which vested judicial powers in the court of law. He added that the NBC, not being Nigerian police, had no power to conduct a criminal investigation that would lead to criminal trial and imposition of sanctions. But the NBC, in the statement today in Abuja, said it had applied for a certified copy of the judgment. Meanwhile, the Chief Justice of Nigeria and Chairman, Board of Governors of the National Judicial Institute, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, on Thursday said that a secure maritime domain is vital to economic development and advancement. Ariwola said the judiciary had a role to play in all legal forms of the fight against piracy. According to a statement, the CJN made this known in Lagos at the third edition of the Nigerian Admiralty Law Colloquium for Justices of the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal and Judges of the Federal High Court. Ariwola, who was represented by Justice Musa Mohammed, expressed satisfaction with the 2023 edition of the Nigerian Admiralty Law Colloquium, adding that the program was on electoral matters. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says it will publish the personal particulars of candidates in the three off-cycle governors' election in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi State, scheduled for November 11, 2023. The electoral body made this known in a statement signed by its spokesman Festus Okoye. He said that the 18 political parties nominated candidates for the Kogi governorship election and 17 parties for Bayelsa and Imo states were given to the electoral umpire. Okoye also confirmed that sworn affidavits as well as EC9B containing the names of the candidates. Away from that, the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) has lauded the Senate over moves to probe the agency's account from 2021 to 2022 for illegal spending of 1.4 trillion naira. In a statement by the Director of Corporate Affairs (NDDC), Ibitoye Ambosade, the agency appreciated the concerns expressed by the Senate during its plenary. Ambassador said the agency respected the oversight functions of the Senate and is ready to cooperate with the 2021 and 2022 budget estimates. The Senate also stood down consideration of the 2023 budget of the NDDC for further information and clarification on the figures contained in the budget. And elsewhere, Ijaw National Congress (INC) on Thursday appealed to the federal government to wade into the boundary crisis occasioned by the ongoing move by the Akwa Ibom state government to adjust the boundaries of Ijaw communities in the state. The group appealed to the Chief of Defense Staff (CDS) to check the ongoing invasion of Eastern Obolo communities by troops of the Nigerian Army and Nigerian Navy at the instance of the Akwa Ibom government. It urged the CDS to also ensure their operations conform to the military rule of engagement. The president of INC, Professor Benjamin Okabin, who spoke in an interview with newsmen, said that mapping and boundary adjustment were on the exclusive legislative list and therefore not the responsibility of the Akwa Ibom state government. Capacity building and retreat for NBC board members and management on digital switchover implementation with the forecast that the digital terrestrial television project, which is an impressive technical feat, will accomplish its national security imperative and will in the long run offer a major platform to create new jobs for Nigerians. The Director General, the GNBC, Balarabe Shehu Ilala, in his remarks at the event held at the Icon Hotel, Uyo, Kwabam State, invited all hands to be on deck in initiating policies that will advance the project.
The federal government of Nigeria envisages that in the long run, digital television will offer a major platform to create new jobs for Nigerians, and all hands must be on deck to assess the success of this project. It is expected that after the training, the board will be in a position to effectively manage the change that came with the digitization process, initiate policies that would advance the project while ensuring that existing players are not unfairly treated.
He listed the challenges facing the Commission, including the recent judgment barring it from fining broadcast stations. Also in his speech, the chairman of the NBC board, Bashar Omolaja Bolarinwa, noted that he has to work hard to ensure some levels of stability in the system, including recommendation to President Muhammadu Buhari for more licensing.
Judgment barring National Broadcasting Commission from fining the stations. The Commission regrets the ruling, even though it is yet to receive, the Commission is yet to receive the true copy of the judgment. For further necessary action, we are waiting for the judgment to be delivered to the Commission, and once it is done, we will go through the judgment and take the necessary action. But for now, we are not going to make any official statement on that, but what we can only say that is very, very regrettable. The National Broadcasting Commission, like any other regulatory agency, is empowered by law to discharge full regulatory responsibilities. I just imagine what the airwaves will be without proper regulation. And this is actually what the judgment is going towards. Because each and every organization and each and every profession to operate broadcast stations across the country.
Meanwhile, in his remarks, the Secretary to the Kwabam State Government, Dr. Emmanuel Akuem, who was represented by the Director General of Kwabam Broadcasting Corporation, Dr. Anyete Ope, spoke on the importance of investing more on ICT as a nation.
There is support for anything that will lead to the employment of our teeming unemployed youths. Let me seize this opportunity to advise the country to see the digital switchover as a battle in a much larger war to completely undertake the analog switch-off of Nigeria. In the UK, all traditional landlines will be switched off by the year 2025, just 2 years from today. This means that analog and copper wire phone networks and systems connected to your phone lines without internet support, like telecare systems, CCTV, electricity meters, will be retired. Let us therefore follow global trends and keep in step with the digital revolution in all areas of our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, new strategies must be designed to ensure that we switch over completely in all states of the Federation, and in states of Nigerians abroad. Nigeria is far from where it ought to be in terms of technology and ICT. We need to invest more in ICT as a nation and do more about ICT instruction in our schools. We must start a robust national debate on how to have ICT everywhere, and not only on our screens at home. A country which only watches digital television and fails to teach digitization to its kids will go to sleep like Rip Van Winkle.
Still to come in the news. Elon Musk names Linda Yaccarino Twitter CEO to stay with us. In Africa, the UK within the week signed an agreement with Kenya, Ethiopia and Somalia aimed at tackling the causes of instability in the region. Speaking to newsmen, UK Security Minister Tom Tugendhat said the agreement, worth some $12.5 million, will support the three countries to come up with policies in the fight against terrorism. This is the first time high-level officials from Ethiopia, Kenya and Somalia have accepted international support to address a common problem along their borders. These borderlands are usually isolated and insecure, which makes it difficult for countries to monitor threats. According to reports, the militants have carried out a series of attacks within the region in recent months, and the group remains a threat. Meanwhile, the funding from the UK is also aimed at empowering local communities to effectively report suspected terror-related incidents. Still in Africa, the United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, within the week appealed for urgent funds to provide rapid food assistance to more than 2 million people in Chad. WFP Country Director in Chad, Pierre Honorat, said he expected to provide for 30,000 refugees who had crossed to Chad to flee the recent fighting in Sudan. The WFP warned that food for refugees and internally displaced people in Chad would come to a halt this month due to financial difficulties. In a separate warning, the WFP said hunger is set to hit a record high in Sudan, with an additional 2.5 million people affected by the ongoing bloodshed. An effort to reduce the cost of food in a renewed cost of living crisis. The measures follow NET, a global network of partners reporting on food insecurity. Bread, sugar and wheat flour prices increased by about 40% in Zimbabwe between February and April. It said maize meal prices shot up by nearly 60% and rice and vegetable oil prices increased at the beginning of April. However, on the black market, it has fallen by almost double that. Meanwhile, the government blames business for using the black market rate to price their goods. In the meantime, Sudan's warring factions on Friday committed to protect civilians and the movement of humanitarian aid, but did not agree to a ceasefire and remain far apart. Reports say after a week of talks in the Saudi port of Jeddah, Sudan's army and rival paramilitary Rapid Support Forces RSF signed a declaration that they would work towards a short-term ceasefire in further discussions. Meanwhile, as U.S. State Department statement said, the parties would focus on reaching a deal for an effective ceasefire of up to about 10 days. Elsewhere, South African officials, a move investors feared could lead Washington to impose sanctions. Recall that the U.S. ambassador to South Africa said on Thursday he was confident that a Russian ship uploaded weapons from the Simonstown naval base in December, suggesting the incident was not in line with Pretoria's professed neutrality in the Ukraine conflict. Still in Africa, the East African Community, EAC, has urged Democratic Republic of Congo's leader to respect regional states' move to deploy forces in an attempt to stabilize eastern part of the country. EAC Secretary General Peter Mutwagi said they had not received any communication regarding former President of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Felix Tshisekedi's complaints, saying any issue raised would be discussed by EAC heads of state. Recall that President Tshisekedi had accused the East African force of not doing its job, warning that if the job is not done by June, it would be asked to leave DR Congo. He also accused the force of colluding with M23 rebels. Now to the foreign scene, where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today met his German, and the visit comes as Zelensky seeks further arms deliveries to help his country fend off the Russian invasion and funds the rebuild that has been destroyed by more than a year of devastating conflict. He also thanked Berlin for its backing in Kyiv's battle against Moscow troops, calling Germany a true friend. During his first visit since Russia's invasion, according to Ukraine's Air Force, in a statement today, Ukrainian forces intercepted and destroyed 3 missiles and 25 drones overnight in the latest aerial attack on the country since the beginning of May. Still on the foreign scene, the French foreign minister has spoken to the French people. Catherine Colonna said Iran on Friday released 2 French citizens jailed in separate cases, and they are both now returning to France. She added that Bernard Phelan, who also holds Irish nationality, and Benjamin Brere were freed from their prisons in the northeastern city of Mashhad and are on their way to France. The pair were among some 24 foreigners jailed in Iran who campaigners see as hostages held in a deliberate strategy by Tehran to extract concessions from the West. Phelan, 64, a Paris-based travel consultant, was arrested in October in Mashhad and has been held ever since. In April, he was jailed for 6.5 years on national security charges, strongly rejected by his family. Brere, 37, was first detained while traveling in Iran in May 2020 and later sentenced to 8 years in prison for espionage. Meanwhile, the Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin on Thursday invited Russia's defense minister to visit the embattled eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut to assess the situation in the area. Prigozhin has ramped up complaints about his own mercenary fighters' battlefield setbacks and blamed a lack of ammunition to take Bakhmut on the Russian Ministry of Defense, pointing out Shoigu and Russian Army Chief Valery Gerasimov. Reports say the private military company Buzz has in recent days complained that areas captured by its fighters around Bakhmut at the expense of heavy casualties are now being lost to the Ukrainians. In the meantime, Ukraine within the week said that its forces had made significant advances around the embattled city of Bakhmut in the eastern Donetsk region, which has been the epicenter of fighting with Russia for months. Police in the Russian city of Syria this month. Reports say the unit launched on May 9th during the annual World War II Victory Day celebrations of St. Petersburg's Palace Square. The unit will include officers armed with sniper rifles and carbines, groups trained to neutralize unmanned aerial vehicles, and mobile patrols to detain those suspected of operating drones. Meanwhile, Russia said today it had repelled Ukrainian attacks along a 95-kilometer stretch of front near the symbolic city of Bakhmut as an anticipated Ukrainian offensive looms. Elsewhere, Pakistani court on Friday ordered former Prime Minister Imran Khan's release on bail for 2 weeks following an arrest that sparked deadly unrest in the nuclear-armed nation. The arrest, ruled invalid and unlawful by the Supreme Court a day earlier, fueled instability in the nation of 220 million at a time of economic crisis with record inflation, anemic growth, and delayed IMF funding. Khan arrived amid tight security at the court in Islamabad as his supporters clashed with police elsewhere in the capital. According to reports, nearly 2,000 people have been arrested for violence since Khan's detention on Tuesday, and at least 8 have been killed. Still on the foreign scene, the Israel military and the Israel Defense Forces have apologized for the untimely death of Al Jazeera's journalist Shirin Abu Akleh. These apologies coming 1 year after Akleh was shot dead while covering an Israeli military operation in Jenin in the occupied West Bank with another journalist, Ali al-Samoni, who was also shot. Speaking with newsmen, Israel's Defense Force Chief spokesman Daniel Hagari said he thinks it was an opportunity for him to say that they are very sorry for the death of Shirin Abu Akleh. Meanwhile, the apology is also coming after the Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, published a report stating that no accountability was taken by the Israeli military over the killings of at least 20 journalists over the past 2 decades. Meanwhile, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, on Friday convicted of speeding days after King Charles's third coronation. Reports say he was ordered to pay £510 in total for exceeding a 20-mile-per-hour limit near Lambeth Palace on 2nd October last year. The 67-year-old was also handed 3 penalty points after being caught by a speed camera in his Volkswagen Golf on a 336 Albert embankment. He admitted the offense online and was handed a £300 fine and ordered to pay a £120 victim surcharge and £90 in cost. According to reports, the prosecution was conducted. Meanwhile, the Archbishop has tried to resolve these and pay the fine 3 times. In business, Elon Musk on Friday named a new chief executive of Twitter just over 6 months after his controversial takeover of the social media company. The billionaire said Linda Yaccarino, the former head of advertising at NBC Universal, would oversee business operations at the site, which has been struggling to make money. He said she would start in 6 weeks. Meanwhile, Musk will remain involved as executive chairman and chief technology officer. Still in business, Angola within the week displaced Nigeria as Africa's largest crude oil producer last month. According to April's oil production data from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, Nigeria produced 999,000 barrels per day for the month, behind Angola, which produced 1,006 million barrels per day during the period. Nigeria tied in second place with Algeria, which also produced 999,000 barrels per day in April, based on direct communications. However, secondary sources stated that Nigeria produced 1.18 million barrels per day, making the country the largest oil producer in Africa, while Angola trailed in second place with 1.08 million barrels per day. Algeria was ranked third with 1 million barrels per day. According to reports, the direct communication figure for Nigeria is the lowest output level for the country in 2023, having produced above 1 million barrels per day in the preceding months. Meanwhile, Airtel Africa within the week recorded a drop in its net profit, with Nigeria leading its revenue growth for the annual financial period covering April 2022 and March 2023. The Bharti Airtel subsidiary saw its profit after tax decline by $5 million or 6% to $750 at the end of March 2023, failing to surpass the $755 million posted during the preceding 12 months period. According to the annual financial system, Airtel Africa increased the firm's revenue by 11.5% year-on-year, expanding to $5.25 billion in turnover during the period in review, against the $4.71 billion generated the previous year. Meanwhile, the Nigerian market, where Airtel has 60.3 million active subscribers for telephony services, and 41.89 million internet users contributed largely to the growth, followed by East African subscribers and the Francophone nations. Still to come in the news, FIFA builds 424 million naira mini stadium in Kebbi State. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now to the rest of the news stories. In health, the World Health Organization, WHO, has declared that the multi-country outbreak of the Mpox virus, which began around a year ago, was no longer a public health emergency of international concern. The WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus said these while speaking to journalists in Geneva, Switzerland. The DG said there had been more than 87,000 cases of Mpox, with 140 deaths worldwide, reported to the organization from 111 different countries. Ghebreyesus, who, however, implored countries to maintain their testing capacity and ability to respond to future outbreaks quickly. Still in health, and epidemiologist Dr. Japhet Oloboki has appealed to all levels of government to strengthen health systems against the widespread occurrence of infectious diseases in Nigeria. Oloboki made the call in an interview with newsmen in Lagos State. He said that the strengthening of health systems in Nigeria would also enhance epidemic response and health indices in the country. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, Nigeria's health outcome indicators are still unacceptably high despite modest improvements. The WHO's report stated that Nigeria recorded 557 confirmed cases and 73 deaths from diphtheria in the last 4 months. From the exciting world of sport, the World Football Governing Body FIFA has built a mini stadium in Benin Kebbi, capital of Kebbi State. FIFA disclosed these in a statement recently released on its website. The 1.189 million naira project was undertaken by the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF) and supported by the FIFA. He noted that the 7 states in the northwestern region, Kebbi has the largest number of amateur teams. Still in sports, Al Nassr is preparing an official bid to sign captain Cristiano Ronaldo's former manager Max Allegri. Recall that Al Nassr sacked their manager Rudi Garcia mid-season, and under-19 coach Dinko Jalesic is currently in charge of the Saudi Pro League club. The Riyadh-based side is expected to appoint a new manager in the summer. According to journalist Rudy Galetti, Al Nassr is preparing an offer for Allegri, who coached Ronaldo during his previous stint at Juventus. Reports say when Ronaldo arrived at Juventus back in 2018 from Real Madrid, Allegri was the man in charge of the old lady. Meanwhile, the Portugal captain played 44 matches under Allegri, scoring 28 goals and registering 11 assists. Still in sports, Manchester City Erling Haaland has scooped the Football Writers Association's Men's Player of the Year award in his first season. Haaland won by a large margin after a blistering season with 51 goals to his name and still chasing a treble in the Champions League, Premier League and the FA Cup. According to reports, Arsenal Bukayo Saka won second place and Martin Odegaard third place, while Kevin De Bruyne of City was fourth and Manchester United's Marcus Rashford was fifth. On our entertainment news, rising South African singer Tyler on Thursday named Nigerian Grammy Award-winning singer Tems, the late American king of pop Michael Jackson, and Baradian American singer Rihanna as mentors. She said the trio inspired her to become a musician. She disclosed this in a video posted on TikTok recently. She also disclosed that Wizkid, Rema and Ayra Starr are the most popular Afrobeat artists in South Africa. Still on entertainment, the family of American actor Jamie Foxx on Friday reacted after concerns were raised about the thespian's health. Recall that reports had emerged that family and loved ones of the Hollywood star were preparing for the worst to come out of the present health situation of Jamie, although subsequent reports claimed frayed nerves, claiming that the 55-year-old is stable and not in a life-threatening situation. Many still long to hear from the family. In an Instagram post, his family purportedly posted on his profile, they appreciated the fans of the singer for their prayers and thanked Nick Cannon for hosting the show Beat Shazam for Jamie. Lastly, in the news within the week, in April, the national chairman of CAN, Opoyemi Ajayi, disclosed these in a statement made available to newsmen in Lagos. He said there had been an appreciable increase in the revenue generated in April compared with March. And according to him, for the month of March, 441 million naira revenue was generated and 220,781 viewers visited the cinemas in April, as against 174,071 viewers in March. Media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum TV News, a recap of major stories within the week. I am Francis Edith. Many thanks for being there and do enjoy the rest of your day.